2023, a 39-year-old man was suffering from end-stage kidney failure. Any doctor would have told him that his only chance was dialysis. Instead, he was referred to a team of naturopaths that, thanks to certain natural remedies, diet, and lifestyle improvements, were able to almost double his kidney function. So in just 51 days, this man went from dialysis is your only possibility to you just need to watch your diet and take some pills. And yet, most doctors are still telling their CKD patients that there is no hope. Are these doctors lying to their patients? Catherine here, I'm a naturopath and a researcher in the field of kidney health. There are 5 lies some doctors are still telling their patients and that will prevent any improvement in their kidney function. Let's see what they are. Number 5. This is a big lie many doctors tell their patients. The lie is that there is no hope of improving.
Wait. What?
Many CKD patients will hear this lie at least once, especially if their diagnosis came too late. But why do I think this is a lie, you may ask? Well, not just because of the case study we have seen in the intro. No. There are actually many other documented cases like that one of CKD patients improving even in stage 5. And yet, doctors still say that there is no hope.
So how do we treat chronic kidney disease? Unfortunately, this is an irreversible condition.
And do you know why doctors still say that there is no hope, even when it's clear that there are patients who improved? Many doctors tell their patients to abandon all hope because they don't want to give false hope. At least that's their excuse. But deep down, what I think is that some doctors just think their patients can't handle anything more complex than taking 2 pills in the morning on a full stomach, of course. It's as if they believe we're all just bumbling toddlers with pill bottles incapable of managing even the simplest instructions. Heaven forbid we try to manage our own health. They probably think that deciphering anything beyond a prescription must be a task reserved for NASA scientists. But come on, it's 2024. Telling all patients to give up hope should be considered a crime. Telling people to give up all hope is just like forcing someone to use a dial-up internet connection in 2024. Outdated, cruel, and completely unnecessary. So now you may ask, Catherine, if you think these doctors are lying, what is the correct approach instead? Well, what I tell patients about giving up is that it's just about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. I understand this kind of mentality some doctors have, really. They want you to be prepared for the worst, so when the worst doesn't happen, it's a gift. It's a very common approach. But let's be real, it's the wrong approach. Why, you may ask? Simple. As a naturopath with over a decade of experience helping advanced stage CKD patients, I've learned one crucial thing. Not all patients are as incompetent and clueless as some doctors would like to believe. Far from it. I've met tons of patients over the years who are as sharp as a tack and lightning fast at learning what they need to know about their health. And do you know what happens when you give the right tools to fight CKD to a patient that's motivated enough? Spoiler alert, they start to improve. Their creatinine levels go down and their symptoms start to diminish. But I'm not saying this is easy. Remember, the battle for kidney disease is as much a mental one as it is a physical one. It takes a lot of strength, dedication, and motivation to keep going when a disease casts a shadow over everything in your life. It's normal to be afraid and to feel down, but you have to know that you can fight it. And don't worry, despite what some doctors believe, you won't need a degree from NASA to do it. Now guys, if you think this info is useful, consider giving this video a like and sharing it on social media so more people will have a chance to see it. Okay, up next, number 4, let's talk about another lie not just doctors but even mainstream media can't stop perpetuating. This is, you can't detox your kidneys. Detoxes are a hoax. They are bogus. They say,
have a smart audience.
And we want to reiterate, the detoxes are bogus.
This was from a show called The Doctors, and their message is clear. Everything is bogus, of course, except for whatever their sponsor is selling today. I mean, heaven forbid these pesky patients start actually to drink spinach and beet juice to try and get better. But are they right in considering most detoxes bogus? Well, not in my opinion. Not when it comes to kidney disease in particular. In fact, here's what I tell my patients about detoxification. So, what do I tell my patients about detoxification, you may ask? As a naturopath, I usually start by giving some examples of detoxifiers that actually work according to science and that only cost a few pennies. Take phosphate binders, for instance. For CKD patients, phosphorus is one of the most dangerous toxins. Alright, if you are not following a low protein diet, you are likely to have your serum phosphate too high. This is unfortunately linked to a long series of problems, including faster kidney function decline. But if you are started on calcium carbonate, a powerful detoxifier, and a phosphate binder, you are likely going to be able to keep your kidney function for much longer. There are even cases in medical literature of patients who gain back a significant amount of kidney function just detoxifying phosphorus. So yeah, clearly, not all detoxes are bogus. Another example is sodium bicarbonate, of course. This miraculous powder is another powerhouse detoxifier. In fact, it reduces the amount of a dangerous toxin, excess acid. And guess what, guys? Both excess acid and excess phosphorus are the delightful gifts of a too high protein intake. I mean, who needs enemies when there is steak for dinner? So let's say that a kidney patient goes on a detox, alright? They start replacing their beloved red meat with spinach juice and start using detoxifiers like phosphate binders and sodium bicarbonate. What happens then? Yeah, the patient starts to improve their GFR. Is that bogus? Or have these doctors just stopped paying attention to medical literature? By the way, every time I talk about sodium bicarbonate, I always get the same questions in the comment section. So let's clear out some absolute gems of misinformation floating around this detoxifier. Some people think it contains aluminum. Others confuse it with baking powder. Bless their hearts. Let's take a moment to talk about this kidney-saving home remedy, which is also a standard prescription your nephrologist could give you. So, what is sodium bicarbonate? It's a chemical compound, alright? Technically, it's a salt composed of a sodium cation and a bicarbonate anion. Sodium bicarbonate doesn't contain any aluminum or anything like that because it doesn't contain anything else other than sodium bicarbonate. It only has one ingredient, and yes, most people call it baking soda. But let's not get our wires crossed. Baking soda is not the same as baking powder. Baking soda is pure sodium bicarbonate and nothing else. Baking powder, on the other hand, might contain aluminum and other things you probably don't want. Sodium bicarbonate is sodium bicarbonate everywhere. It's never baking powder. Not in the US, not in the UK, not even in Mordor. You can buy it at the supermarket. You can buy it at the pharmacy. It's always the same. Just one ingredient, one chemical compound. To recap, sodium bicarbonate aka baking soda is prescribed to kidney patients. Baking powder is a leavening agent and you don't want that. Feel free to shout out in the comments if this is still as clear as mud. And yes, of course, sodium bicarbonate is a powerful detoxifier. It's not bogus, it's not a hoax, and it's certainly not a figment of your imagination. Guys, before we move on and see the next slide doctors are telling their patients, I'll give you another example of a detoxifier that's also used in medical practice. NAC, N-acetylcysteine, which is one of the most powerful detoxifiers on earth. And NAC isn't just for the kidneys, it's especially useful for the liver as well. Because you know, the liver is kind of a big deal when it comes to detoxifying the body. Just like the kidneys, it flushes out drugs and other toxins. What this means is that when your kidneys are overloaded, your liver is going to be under a lot of stress as well. And the stress I'm talking about here in medical terms is called oxidative stress, which is just a fancy way of saying your body is drowning in toxins, free radicals to be exact, and doesn't have enough antioxidants to fight them off. Enter NAC, the superhero antioxidant that swoops in and kicks those toxins to the curb in a spectacularly effective way. This is what makes NAC one of the most potent detoxifiers you can find. It's so good at its job that it can be used long-term to prevent oxidative damage to the kidneys, and it was actually used to lower creatinine by 50% in a study, which really says something about its effectiveness. And of course, not all patients need all of these detoxifiers. For example, you need sodium bicarbonate only when your CO2 levels are too low. I only recommend this detoxifier to patients with a CO2 level below 22 milliequivalents per liter. Same for phosphate binders. If your phosphorus is already in the right range, why detoxing something that's not there? Same for NAC. This is not something I would actually prescribe to people taking anticoagulants, for example. Now, if you think all these recommendations and guidelines sound confusing, I may have some good news for one of you. I've recently had one more opening in my schedule and I will be able to take one more new patient for counseling. I'm starting doing remote counseling now and I will be able to guide you to a better kidney health. And I know that some of you are interested because I got a lot of messages asking for exactly that. So, check the link in the description, and if you are interested in doing a one-on-one video call, send me an email so we can discuss it. Okay, up next, number 3, another incredibly common and dangerous lies some doctors are still perpetuating. The lie is that you do not need a renal diet. Now, I want to ask you a question. How many of you guys have been diagnosed with CKD stage 3 or above without being told that in 2024, all CKD patients are supposed to follow a personalized diet? This is an important question because, you know, people are not going to give up the habits they had for a lifetime without some serious motivation, without someone looking you in the eye and telling you it's time to change the way you eat or you will end up in dialysis. I mean, if your doctor doesn't tell you that you need a new diet, what are you gonna do about it? You are going to keep eating whatever, right? It's like these doctors think our kidneys are just magically immune to the effects of pizza and soda. Sure, doc, I'll just keep munching on salty snacks and chugging sugary drinks. After all, why bother with healthy eating when I can just wait for my kidneys to wave a white flag and surrender? On the other hand, here's what I tell my patients about the renal diet. The truth about the renal diet is that eating right can make all the difference between losing GFR points at each blood test and starting to gain them back. Guys, I've seen this happen personally. I've seen patients improving when they replaced meat and junk food with fruit and veggies. It's not easy. I'm not saying that, but it can be done. And that's why I'm so pissed at doctors that still scoff at the renal diet like it was some form of bogus home remedy. Well, it's not. Now, let's also talk about the consequence of this common lie, alright? Up next, number 2, this is a big lie. Some doctors will tell you that protein is essential. You'll become very weak if you don't eat enough high protein food. You'll starve to death. Okay, everyone has heard this at least once. You literally can't survive without protein, they say. But is that true? Well, this is only a lie, in part. Let me explain. There are only 3 macronutrients in the human diet, alright? Carbohydrates, protein, and fats. All these 3 are essential, meaning that you need all of them to live. Yes, even carbs are considered essential because they contain essential vitamins and fiber. Same for fats. You are not going to be healthy for long if you completely stop eating omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, for example. But what about protein, you may ask? Is that essential? Well, yes, protein is essential. That part is not a lie. The body needs protein to replace damaged tissue, which means you can't live without enough protein. Now, this is the part where they lie, though, because you see, enough protein is a lot less than what most people believe. Fact: most skinny patients only need a very tiny amount of protein, just 0.55 to 0.60 grams per kilograms a day of ideal body weight. And this is not just my opinion. As you can see, this comes from the current guideline for kidney disease management. By the way, eating 0.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight doesn't just mean avoiding meat and fish. Alright? It means that even the amount of rice, pasta, bread, and legumes you eat must be monitored because those foods also have protein. So yeah, this is the big lie. They say that you need meat to survive. What they don't tell you is that if your goal is not just to survive, but to get better, you need to stop eating all that protein and to focus on what really matters. Okay, time for our number 1, the most dangerous lie of them all. The wait and see approach. What is the wait and see approach? It's when your doctor says, oh, you lost 15 points of GFR in a year. Well, let's just wait and see if it gets better. I mean, it's like they expect your kidneys to suddenly decide to turn things around, maybe after a motivational pep talk or a relaxing weekend getaway. Sure, doc, I'll just sit back and relax while my kidneys miraculously heal themselves. And you know why this is the worst lie? Because that never works. Your kidneys are not going to get better by themselves. On the other hand, if you actually start doing something, you may see result. This is what happened to the 39-year-old man that was suffering from renal failure that we have seen in the intro. He didn't wait. He took action and he went to a naturopathic clinic. There, thanks to certain natural remedies, diet, and lifestyle improvements, he was able to gain back a huge amount of kidney function. His case study is thoroughly documented in this medical journal, and I've made a full video about it. So if you want to learn what he did exactly, watch my video up here and also down in the description. And this is all for today. Thank you for watching. God bless you all. Bye!